How do you feel as a black young man in South Africa today, sitting here, having to have seen what your life could have been if you had access to resources, if you had a fair shot of not being a product of apartheid?
It's a blessing. And that sounds...
Did you say a blessing?
It's a blessing.
I need a shot of tequila.
It's a blessing to know that I've had the struggle. It's a blessing. There has been character carved inside of me,
yes, sir,
that not many can understand.
Hallelujah.
There's grit. There's integrity that comes from understanding, from where I grew up. Not many people can have that.
Hallelujah.
Some of these things you don't read in a book.
Yes,
Some
sir.
of these things you don't hear about. Some of
Yes,
these
sir.
things you cannot buy with money.
Okay.
It is only as you walk through it.
Okay.
It is only as you experience it,
Yes,
that
sir.
you get to a point where, okay, now I have it. Now I'm that guy.
You're a bad boy, man.
I'm that guy.
Tbo Touch. Touch HD.
When I say what a time to be alive, it's not just a phrase that I throw in the air and I don't live by it. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean every single thing in that word. When I say what a time to be alive, it's exactly that. And I decided today to shape my day, my existence, by taking inventory of how much positivity I let in my space and how much do I just repel and let it stay out there. If you're watching this, if you're listening to me right now, the WhatsApp line is 076-262-3847. I'm hanging in studio with Poloko Mmakgolane. Did I say it right?
Sir, you said it correctly. I cannot complain.
I was so nervous. Understanding?
What a time to be alive.
Man.
What a time to be alive. I am in the same room as Tbo Touch.
Hold on.
Saying my name.
Hold on.
No, it's a beautiful time to be alive.
It is.
Blessed to be here. Thank you so much, sir.
I'm blessed to be in studio with you, to be hanging here, having this conversation when I know 2-3 hours ago you were in Rustenberg.
Yes, sir.
And you gave us your time. The most precious commodity in relationship that we take for granted is
Yes,
time.
sir. Yes, sir.
It's not gifts,
Yeah.
it's time. And
Yep.
you're giving us your time. How's Rusty, me bro? How are the numbers in Northwest?
Rustenberg is beautiful, man. It's safe.
Nah.
Rustenberg is safe. That's really all I can tell you right now. Rustenberg is safe, and I am loving it. And once in a while, I have to hop out and be in Gauteng.
Yeah.
So every time I come out here, it's the valley.
It's like a valley.
It's the valley, so I've got to walk very cautiously here. But
I hope it's not of the shadow of death.
you know what? That's why I stopped at Valley. That's why I just stopped at Valley. I was like, I know the whole line, but
Yes.
let me just stop at Valley.
Yeah.
But no, Rustenberg is beautiful.
Nice.
Peaceful that side. The numbers are low, so thank God for that.
Man, 25 years old and already like source of inspiration for many people. And I want to know firstly, when did this drive for you to be this amazing author, leader, motivational speaker, where did it come from, man? I mean, sometimes great people are born out of pain.
Yes.
And I
no,
don't want to
precisely.
think that's the same, or maybe I could be wrong.
You see, so for me, growing up, there were no signs of it. You know, there were never any signs of, ooh, this boy is gonna do amazing things. It was when I was 19 years old when I was seriously and desperately searching for who I really am and who I'm supposed to be.
Wow.
It wasn't because of anything else. It was just because I was so desperate. Who is Poloko? Why am I here? What's next? Because I finished high school.
Right.
When I finished high school, parents didn't have money for me to go to university. I couldn't get a bursary. And which in hindsight, I'm glad about, because had I went to varsity, I would have studied just anything. I would have just said...
Because you were clueless with what
just
it is that you want to
whatever.
pursue.
I didn't know who I was. And so I took that year off. when I was 19, I took a gap year,
Right.
volunteered in a church full-time, Monday to Sunday. I was
Amen.
there just doing anything that my hands can find to do, because I think there's something powerful about when you don't know where you want to go, where
Right.
you're supposed to be.
Right.
Do whatever your hands can find to do, right? Because it'll come to you. You'll figure it out. So I took that year and I did that. Whatever my hands could find to do. There are amazing...
Did it with your might.
Exactly. With everything. There are amazing interns here, which I was at the church.
Right.
I learned how to do photography, videography,
Right.
learned how to do sound.
Yes, sir.
And in the process, there was also speaking. Right, there was also speaking, and I had some mentors around me who said to me, listen, you don't know this yet, but you are an outstanding speaker. I said, really? And they said, let's show you. They took their time with me and they brought it out.
Did they pick this up from your conversations with them, or were you giving testimonies in church? How did that get that spark?
I think they picked it up from conversations with them, because there was never really any space for just any random person to do testimonies in church, for example.
Right.
So it was from conversations with them. It was from how they would see me relate to other people around me. They would pay attention, because I had mentors who were not distant.
Okay.
My mentors were not distant. They were hands-on. So in seeing that and in seeing the way that I think and the way that I view life, they said to me, there's something special there.
Shout out to such people, because you know what I really think is the biggest robbery in our time, like of our generation, is when greatness fails to recognize greatness in another person and it ends with you.
Exactly.
I completely think that is one sad void I would not want under my watch. The inability to identify another powerhouse, because
sir.
I'm so myopic, so conceited, it's about me.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about those people who ignited the greatness in you, who identified that. Who were those?
There's an amazing lady called Deborah. So Deborah was
Who's Deborah? Kapo Deborah?
Deborah.
Okay.
She's white, so it's
Also,
Deborah.
Mario, a white person can also be Aussie. If she's an elderly.
I was Deborah. I was Deborah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what it is? It's that cultural difference, right?
Yeah.
When I first met her, Auntie
She's like,
Deborah, don't call me auntie. Don't call me that.
Deborah.
So
Who's Deborah?
Exactly. So yes, no, she was phenomenal, and then her and her husband. So I've had amazing couples around me, which I think is so key. Married couples around me who said, okay, let's help you out, because I can't talk to her about everything. So her husband was there to say, let me talk to you about this. I see that in your life. And
where was this? In Rustenberg?
This was in Rustenberg, sir.
Are you serious?
This was in Rustenberg.
Do you know what my perception of white people in Northwest is?
What is it?
Khaki pants, always ready to go hunting, safari, excursions. No, for real.
Yeah.
And you're helping to demystify that. And I say it's a perception, because that's all I know. As a South African, my relationship with Northwest is Sun City.
Sun City.
Is what is that beautiful Marang?
Yes. Marang, yes.
Yeah, Royal Baphuke.
Yes.
Pilansberg.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
yes.
the normal, usual, every time I see a white person, it's either driving me on a game range. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I didn't know there's people who will be so selfless and give us this diamond that you are.
No, completely selfless.
Shout out to Deborah and her husband.
Yes, Deborah and Kobus, absolutely amazing people.
Bra Kobus.
You see, like, you think it was John or something like that.
Kobus.
Yep. No, it was them. I had some other people around me. I had some friends who were actually in the faith before me, about 2 years older than me. But these are friends who are still friends with me right now. But they were in the faith before me.
I got you.
And they were walking straight way before I was.
Wow.
So I was able to learn from those people as well. They were able to also encourage me and keep me going straight.
Isn't it interesting that God will give you genuine people who are not of your color? I mean, not of your race, not of your lineage. Like, God will give you favor with men that your money won't.
Exactly. Now
God
he
will
positions
give you favor with men that your degrees want. God will give you favor with men that your looks want. Hey, don't let me preach now.
Sir,
Come on.
sir.
I can keep going. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
God will give you favor with men that your intellect want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, he positions you, right? Like, none of the people that are around me are there on accident. Everyone around me is there on purpose. Me coming here today, me being here and having a conversation with you is because there is someone in this place.
Yes, sir.
Right? There's someone in this place
Yes, sir.
who was positioned in my life and
Yes,
they were
sir.
able to bring up my name at the right time.
Oh.
It,
Sorry.
it's not an accident. It's not an accident.
No.
People are there on purpose.
Yes, sir.
And this conversation here, there's a purpose behind this conversation. It's more than just a conversation right now. 2 years from now, whether it be 10 years from now, I'm going to look back and I'll say, I remember when it started. It was that conversation that we had in his studio, and now look at what it has led to. It's amazing.
So I got on the phone with my mom on my way here, right?
Yes.
Funny enough, I didn't speak to my mom the whole day yesterday. It's unusual because I was just dealing with a lot of introspection. This morning, I finally had a reason to call my mom. Not that I don't have. I'm grateful she's alive. But I read something powerful that said, your brain is the nucleus that controls every reactionary, how every organ in your body has to react. Your brain determines how every organ in your body reacts. If, for instance, you get something shocking, if you like, some sad news, and you take that sadness and it goes all the way to your brain, it affects your ulcers. You start feeling some kind of pain. You're starting having a migraine. You open your balance sheet, you open your bank account, and you're expecting a payment. And I saw the eyes just saw an account that the payment is not there yet. But the brain, the message that's sent to the brain has triggered some kind of malfunctioning in your whole body. So what you take to your brain can actually give you the strength and the vitality you need to keep going.
It's very important. It's very important. And you know, one of the things that I've learned is that actually your subconscious brain doesn't reject information, right? So your subconscious brain takes in everything. Whatever it hears, it takes in. And then what happens is that in your brain, if you have something that can either trump what it is that you are hearing, it will do it. But if you receive, say, something negative, and there's nothing that you've taken in that was positive to actually contradict that, this negative thing becomes what is. It becomes truth. It becomes what you believe. It becomes how you live. Because you don't consume enough positivity and your brain doesn't reject anything. It takes in everything.
I want to cement what you just said. And I'm loving this conversation. What you just said, I used the scripture to my mom and I said, Mom, Lazarus was best friends with Christ. They were boys, man. Like, they will hang out. They probably did stuff that is not in the Bible. They were that cool. They were boys. Lazarus dies. They send a message to Jesus that, yo, your boy is dead. This guy goes back to sleep. Do you understand what I'm saying?
He chills.
It shows, if I know the power to bring life back is in my hands, what constitutes an emergency is not a crisis for me, because I already got the answer to the problem.
Exactly.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So how we deal with a problem at that time, the way the brain reacts when somebody says something negative and you feel the need to respond to them. You know how many times somebody gave me a middle finger on the road because, maybe I cut the red light or maybe something did, but I was this close from being where President Zuma is today. I mean, for real, this close. Like, man, with the accessories in this car right now, I can do something that will hit the, I'll be on the head. What did you say? Like somebody just pulling and something holds you because the brain says, react. And then ego says, what? Silence them right now. But there's something that says, calm down. You are such a positive person. How do you recalibrate and bring yourself back to your epicenter?
You know, you said something that was very powerful. You mentioned Lazarus.
Yes, sir.
I get excited when people mention the Bible. So I'm glad I didn't bring it up.
Oh, okay. Oh, man, we can go anywhere. We can go anywhere in the scripture.
In that story, if you remember, what happened was they sent a letter to Jesus, said,
Yes.
your boy is sick.
Yeah.
And his response was, the sickness is not unto death. So
Yes.
he's not going to die. He said it,
Yeah.
right? Now, in this moment, you get to choose, okay, I'm going to believe this. He already said it. And then he continues to take some time. Then he goes on to die. Even though he goes on to die, he already said, you know what I'm saying? He already said this
Death
sickness is not
the threat.
He said it's not going to end in death. It might pass through some death, but it doesn't end in death.
Hey, preach it, man.
It passed through some death.
Yes,
right?
sir.
The death happened.
Yes, sir.
But that wasn't the end of the story. The end of the story was him saying, Lazarus,
Come forth. Ooh.
you understand, right?
Hello?
You understand.
Come on, man.
So
Come on, man.
For me, that's what it is.
Yes, sir.
Right, so the problem is so many people receive whatever bad report right now, and that's what you hold on to. For me, the way that I recalibrate is I always try to remind myself, right? When I was 19 years old and I set out on this journey, God said to me, I'm going to take you places. He said to me, before you were born in your mother's womb, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you.
Oof.
And before you were born into this world, I had already set you apart
Hey,
as
Jeremiah.
a voice to the nations.
Come on, man.
Now, because he already said that,
Hello.
if something happens on my way to Joburg,
Yes, sir.
I don't focus on that. I focus on what he said when I was 19 years old.
Oh.
Just the other
Where do you
day,
guys get this guy? Where do you guys get this guy, man? Where do you guys get this guy? Poloko Mmakgolane, keep talking.
just the other day, a week ago,
sir.
my mother was sick in hospital, couldn't breathe. There was COVID. She was
help us.
completely
Lord, help
helpless.
us.
Couldn't breathe on her own. Needed oxygen. We were running around, stressed out, and in situations like that, when that happens, I don't hang on to that information. I don't hang on to that report. I go back once again to when I was 19 years old and what he said. What did he say when I was 19? What was the promise that he made? Where did he say he was taking me in the first place? Because if he said he was taking me there, he's going to take me there. If he said he was going to deliver me from this, he's going to deliver me. I might go through some stuff in the process. I might face some stuff in the process, but that's not the ultimate end.
I told somebody the other day, I'm going to keep cementing everything you say. I said, anything that's happening in my life, I don't attribute it to the person that I am. Whatever it is that's happening in my life, whatever I find myself being a recipient of, has nothing to do with me. I genuinely believe I'm a product of a promise that God made to my grandfather. A promise that God made to my great-grandfather. I'm a product of a promise. So if greatness materializes in my life, people say, hey, man, you're so lucky. How did you do it? Sometimes you have to be honest. We got to be honest with people and say, I don't take credit for the greatness that's taking place in my life because a promise was made. Because sometimes God makes promises that are generational.
Yep.
And they might not manifest in your life,
Yep.
but they could manifest in your offspring. So I look at myself, and when I deal with what I deal with, I say, let the devil give me his best punch.
Absolutely.
I am a product of a promise.
Absolutely.
And what God promises, he fulfills.
Absolutely.
So things sometimes happen. Like you said, when you were 19 years old, you were dealing with the fact that if anything happens today, there's a promise that God made to you at 19.
Yep.
Your grandmother, let's talk about, losing your grandmother could have broken you.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that because what breaks people, sometimes people don't bounce back. It took me years to heal from my grandmother's loss. Till this day, I try to say that I'm over it. I live with it. I don't actually want to get over it. I don't want to get over the pain because maybe that pain propels me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? But I want to know about you.
Yeah.
Maybe you can help me deal with my situation.
No, for me, it was what made it hard was that grandmother was not grandma. She was mom, right? Grandma was mom. My mother had me when she was 19 years old, obviously had to leave me with my grandmother to go out and figure out how is it that she's going to get by, how is it that she's going to hustle and make it work. So my grandmother took me from, as a domestic worker, She was with a white family, and this is what really shaped my perspective on race. Just FYI.
Yeah.
But my grandmother lived with me in the back room of some white family's house where she was cleaning for them, working for them. My grandmother was mom.
Wow.
In every season, she was mom. I remember her all the way to when she passed. She was mom, and so I still remember when I was 11 years old. One day she got ill because for a season she had been ill, and so one day she's about to go to hospital. She calls me. She says, "Poloko, come here." I said, "What's going on?" She says, "I want you to know that I love you.
What?
I'm about to go to hospital." And this is what she says to me. She says, "I'm not coming back."
No.
Now, as a child, I think to myself, she's playing.
You blame me, right?
I don't
You must
get
be joking,
it.
right?
I don't get it, right? But she says to me, "I want you to know I'm going to hospital now, but I want you to know that I love you because I'm not coming back." And I still remember she went. The next day, my auntie comes back home and she says she passed on. I still remember I broke down. And in that moment, I thought to myself, surely I cannot learn to get over this.
No.
At that point, I said to myself, surely I couldn't have gotten over this.
Yeah.
But what's beautiful about life is that these things may hurt in the moment.
Right.
But everything. I dare you to look back on every terrible thing that has happened to you. Look back at it and what you gained from it. Not what you lost, but what you gained from it. And tell me, was it not worth it? You look at what the pain did to you, how it built your character, your strength, how it grew you, right?
I'm sure when that message was delivered at that time, "I'm not coming back," part of you started to say, how do I venture on my own? You could have probably blamed her to say, why you even think you can leave me by myself? I want to know the emotions at that time. Did you feel like a deposit of maturity, something just saying, you got this, or were you a second away also from shutting your own life? I want to understand what were you dealing with at that moment? Here is someone seeing their life is going, speaking to someone who has more of life to live.
I was completely
Paradoxical
lost.
as it is.
Right, I was completely lost. Have you ever been in a moment where you don't know? And when I say I don't know, I don't mean I don't know as in I'm about to figure it out. No, I don't know. What's up, what's down, what's color, what's whatever. I don't know. I'm just sitting there and I don't know. I don't know. I remember there was a time when my auntie got frustrated with me because I'm just sitting there. I'm like, what now?
I'm speaking to a product of your beginning. Where you start definitely does not determine where you end. Poloko is an amazing book. You got a book. How do I make a difference? This is the book, by the way. How do I make a difference? We got 4 cameras in studio. The question that answers. The question that answers.
Yes.
How do I make a difference? How much of this book was inspired by the loss of your mom, of your grandma?
I would say that most of it, because everything that I am today, I think everything that I am today is not inspired so much by the loss, but by the fact that she was there. Right. So because many times people are inspired by the loss, but I like to think that it was inspired by her existence. It was inspired by the fact that she was here, she was alive. That's what inspired it. I'd like to think that had she not died, I still would have grown up to do something significant, like write a book about making a difference, right? So I don't necessarily like to think that it's inspired by the loss, but rather by the fact that I had her. She was here, and because she was here, I am this individual that is so determined to make a difference. Because I tell you this, like I told you, she was a domestic worker. I come from a family that has absolutely nothing. But one thing that I've taken from my family, they didn't teach me how to manage finances, how to budget, how to do all these incredible things. I never had good examples for what being a father's like,
Right.
and all these things. But one thing I walked away with, one thing I still possess, is the fact that my family is generous. My family If you step into our household,
Yes,
right?
sir.
I still remember when I was a child, I lived in a village, so we used to buy a live chicken.
Okay.
If the neighbors saw us walking in with a chicken,
Yeah.
we're having visitors.
Wow.
We're having visitors, right? And it might be one a month. It might just once a month.
Wow.
But we're having visitors. To this day, I have seen my mother. I've seen my mother be so generous to the point where one time there was one of my boys came to my house. I was with my boy at my house.
Okay.
My mom had some money, and so she was just feeling generous. So she gives me some money, and then she gives my boy some money.
Right. You like,
His mom never gave me money. What's going on here? Like,
what is this?
Why are you giving him money? His mother never gave me money.
Right.
But I come from a family that is generous. I come from a family that where I've seen
Right.
parents
Yes,
who
sir.
put the needs of others before themselves, and so that is
What a
really
powerful
what
testimony.
inspires a question that says, "How can I make a difference?"
Wow.
Right? Because all of us, yeah.
So 2 seconds. This is your mom giving out of her all and creates an impression that you guys are well off because her giving is not stimulated by how much she has.
Yes, sir.
Comes from her heart.
Yes, sir.
It's very interesting, man. I'm listening to you and I'm seeing a lot of my chapters of my life in your in you speaking. And I find it interesting that some of us wait till we blessed
Yes.
before we can bless others.
Yes.
Isn't it sad?
It's terrible.
Like Palisa will have to have 1,000 rand before she can borrow you $100.
Terrible.
But she'll never give it to you if she's got 250. It's the way we are, and it's what we have become so obsessed in accumulating that it's such a serious, rigorous process to give.
Yes, sir. No, if you have $1 million and you give me $1,000, that's not really generosity, is it? Like I don't know if that
Hey,
can exactly be said
don't
to
go
be
there, man.
generosity.
Man.
What I've seen, what I've learned about generosity, as I saw parents who had nothing and they gave the last of what they had. That's how I learned generosity.
How do you feel when you walk into a boardroom and you have to make a presentation and you're sitting with people who've been privileged, and in that very boardroom, you find yourself being way ahead, but because of privilege, they could sprint a marathon, and you, because of experience, you have to jog a marathon. You're both running the same distance. They got better infrastructure to get to the finish line. It does not mean they are physically more capacitated than you are. How do you feel as a black young man in South Africa today, sitting here, having to have seen what your life could have been if you had access to resources, if you had a fair shot of not being a product of apartheid? But because it happened, we're not blaming it. And now that you're here, dealing with the very same struggle of making capital accessible or accessing capital, and you're sitting here saying, Touch, there are some people of my age, of my caliber, I will smoke if the playing field was fair.
It's a blessing. And that sounds...
Did you say a blessing?
It's a blessing.
I need a shot of tequila.
I can tell you this right now. I have been in those situations with those people, and they don't have the hunger that I have. They don't have the drive that I have.
Ooh.
They don't have the thirst for knowledge that I have.
Ooh.
Right? They don't have the work ethic that I have.
Okay.
And so what's going to happen, the playing field might not be even.
Okay, sir.
What's going to happen, though?
Yes, sir.
One day,
Woo!
God will just mess around and drop something in front of me.
Yes.
And it's over.
Woo!
It's over, right? It's over because I tell you now, it's a blessing. The moment that I have access to the things that you've had access to, which is coming.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not gonna die before it happens. It's gonna happen.
Yes.
The moment it happens.
Yes, sir.
The moment it happens, sir.
I'm getting shivers.
The moment it happens.
Tony's laughing at me.
I'm telling you now.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now. It'll be too late.
Hallelujah.
It'll be too late. I'll be gone with the wind. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing to know that I've had the struggle. It's a blessing. I have character that many only dream of. And I'm not saying that braggadociously. There has been character carved inside of me,
Yes, sir.
that not many can understand.
Hallelujah.
There's grit. There's integrity that comes from understanding, from where I grew up. All of that is there. Not many people can have that.
Hallelujah.
Some of these things you don't read in a book.
Yes,
Some
sir.
of these things you don't hear about. Some of
Yes,
these things
sir.
you cannot buy with money.
Okay.
It is only as you walk through it.
Okay.
It is only as you experience it
Yes,
that
sir.
you get to a point where, okay, now I have it. Now I'm that guy.
You're a bad boy, man. You're
I'm
a bad
that
boy.
guy.
Nah, I hear you. I
Exactly.
hear you.
And
I
so
hear you.
there's
So
something
it's
powerful about your story.
Ooh.
Something really powerful in your story.
Ooh, don't
And
kill your story.
That's that second chapter in the book.
Ooh,
Your story. My goodness.
I was going to throw that question. Which chapter? I'm not looking for an antidote, but throw me that chapter that you say, Touch, when you're through with this, you don't need any prescription. You're good. You don't need no vaccine. What chapter is that in the book?
I believe it's the second chapter. I should have actually put that at the end.
What's
But that
the
second
title?
chapter, your story, right? Which is what I was about to say. When it comes to your story, there is something really powerful about your story, because let me give you an example. So a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
I want to tell you this short story. Somebody called me. They said to me, and these are amazing mentors,
Yeah.
said to me, it was the wife who called me. She said to me, Poloko, listen, I've been watching what you are doing. It's undeniable that the favor of God is on your life, that you are going really far, and we want to be a part of that. How can we help you? Right. So they just say, how can we help you? And she begins to count it down, right? I said, well, right now I'm thinking about this. She said, okay, let's do that for you. What else can we do for you? And she's just throwing it at me. She's like, okay, what else can we do for you? What else can we do for you? And I'm just over here completely amazed.
Listen.
And then a couple of moments later, that very same day, I go out to the shop. When I get to the shop, I had to go to an ATM to withdraw some money, and then there was a homeless man sitting next to the ATM begging for
Okay.
some change.
Okay.
Location.
Yeah.
That's a good location if you're asking for money.
Yeah.
So he's waiting by
I
the
never give
ATM.
I'm not. No.
So he's there, right? And he's begging, and I withdraw some money, and something inside of me just said, just give him something. And I had a 10 Rand note, and then I gave that to him. And then I get into the car because he said, can I have something so I can buy some food? I said, okay. I gave that to him. I get into the car. That was 10 rands. As soon as I get into the car, I'm sitting there and something hit me so hard. And I feel like God said to me, would you eat something for 10 rands right now if you were starving? Right? And I was like, okay, let me get out. I get out. And then I call him back. I say, sir, can you come with me? And then there was a fish and chips over there. And when I get in there, I say to him, what do you want? And he says, just some chips would be fine. I said, okay, let's get some chips. What else do you want? I hope you get what I'm saying with this, because as I'm saying this to him, I remember the conversation that I had in the morning where someone else was saying to me, but look, how can we help you? How can I serve? How can I serve you? Now I'm here with him.
Hey.
It may not be too much, but I'm saying to him, sir, how can I serve you right now? How can I help you right now? And so in light of what was done for me earlier, I get to do the same thing for you. And so that's why in the book I say this: the best way to pay it forward, the only way we pay it back is to pay it forward. That's the only way we pay it back. I can't do for you what you
Say
did
that
for
again?
me today. The only way we pay it back is to pay it
I
forward.
want you to say it facing my phone, so they can hear this is not scripted. The only way.
The only way you pay it back
Yes.
is by paying it forward.
We
Pay it back by paying it forward.
My God.
Touch, what you have done for me today, when you put me on, when you have this conversation with me, I can't do that for you. Where do you need me to put you on? You don't need me to bring you into a studio in Rustenberg. I don't have that. Right? So the only way that I can pay that back is by doing it for the next person who one day will be in this position that I'm in today.
Hallelujah.
We pay it back by paying it forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't remember the name, and I'm going to say this one more time, you got to go get his book. Poloko got this amazing book. How can I make a difference?
How can I make a difference?
Yes. I'm hanging with a powerhouse right now. I'm hanging with a powerhouse because it's interesting. When I was reading the scripture where grace did abound, where sin did abound, grace did much more. I was asking myself, where are the Polokos of this world when everybody on social media is just going on a different tangent? People are struggling with depression. People are struggling with the fact that we are in a pandemic. Yeah, we all here. But is God raising an army of people who are going to say, come what may, we will not bow? Like the three Hebrew boys who said, turn up the fire. Nebuchadnezzar, we are not going to subdue.
Yes, sir.
Where are those minds? And I'm glad as I'm talking to you, man. I'm saying this without his permission. I'm gonna say this on camera too. Poloko is gonna be coming as one of our guest speakers on Church on the Block. Listen, it's done. I'll send you the date. He's gonna be one of our main key speakers on Church on the Block. And when you leave that place after he speaks, you won't be the same person. I'm telling you.
Love it.
As I'm talking to you, I'm picking a bundle of gifts. A bundle of gifts. And with a bundle of gifts comes a bundle of attacks.
Yes, sir.
People don't understand. Motivational speakers need motivation on and off stage.
Yes, sir.
You deal with some serious stuff in your life.
It's a lot.
I'm sure you deal with some serious stuff in your life.
It's a lot. I'm a soldier regardless of what's happening at home, regardless of what's happening in my own. I have to see it through. And so there's a lot that comes with this. And with all of that, I constantly need to be speaking to my mentors. I constantly need to be speaking to people who can speak into my life.
I can't believe it, man. And you pulled it through. You pulled it through. Not everybody did. Not everybody could. To be consistent with an idea at the peak of a pandemic and bring it to fruition, it's a gift.
Yes, sir.
It's a gift. And now that we are approaching, I think there's light at the end of a tunnel. Yes, we still got to get everybody vaccinated and deal with all kind of stuff. But post this pandemic, what's on the table for Poloko?
What's on the table for Poloko is I would like to get how can I make a difference to every part of South Africa. So the book is available on our website, but what I want to do is I want to do a book tour because I want to get face-to-face with the people. I want to do a nationwide book tour, and at the moment, I've actually started writing my second book.
I think we're going to do that tour together. I'm telling you.
I'm with it.
No, not just us. We're going to get others. If you are live now on Insta, life is about igniting the greatness in the next person, and next person, and next person. I think this is igniting all these amazing Avengers that are listening.
Yes,
right
sir.
now. I always say to when I'm with people in my level, I always say, don't count me as one of y'all's. I'm a mutant.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've never subdued to this mob mentality.
Yeah.
I've always been that guy. If everybody's flying economy, I'm flying business.
Yes,
if everybody's
sir.
flying business, I'm driving. I'm not comfortable with being part of the mob.
Yes, sir.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You guys say this is a pandemic. I say it's an opportunity.
Love it.
You feel me?
Love it.
You understand what I'm saying, man?
Yep.
God has been good to me in my adversities than he has been in my celebration moment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, it's so hard, and people say all the time, it's so easy to praise God when you are on the mountaintop. It's not. On the mountaintop, it's not, right? It is there when you are in the pits that we actually can get to say, okay, God, now what do you want to do? Now I'm going to depend completely on you. And what's difficult about trusting God is that God will take you another way. He'll take you that way when everybody else is going that way. And it's like, God, are you sure about this, God? Because everybody's going that way. Like, what do you mean? God, are you sure? Did you see where so-and-so just went? Do you see the direction that media is taking right now?
Right.
Do you see where everyone's going? What do you mean I've got to go that way?
Right.
And that's the way we go. That's the way we go.
I don't want to shortchange ourselves, but I really think we are only going to be aware of the level of drought or what this pandemic is taking away from us. We're only going to be aware when we start looking for certain people in our phone book, and you dial the number and it goes on voicemail, and you ask, I can't get all this. They're like, you didn't know? He's no more. He's no more. Never in history have I had to deal with deleting people's names. Not because I was blocking them, but because they are no more. I'll make a classic example. Last Friday, I'm talking to Rustenberg. Did I say the name right? Selomake Kanube. Yeah. I'm talking to Achimurok.
Yes,
We make
sir.
life simple.
Yes.
There's only one. As we speak, Dr. John Tibani passed away. We were having a conversation. It's like, hey man, you know, Dr. Tibani is no more. Kirimun. What? While he's talking to me, a few minutes later, he says to me, hold on, I'm gonna have to call you back. I just got a message that came into my phone. So I don't follow up. What was the message? I'm talking about a message. It could have been, you need to be on calls, on set for a shoot. Boom. I later check, hey man, Brazil, not picking up. Brazil, he lost his mom. Now, the week before, he just buried his brother. So in 7 days, he lost a close friend, a brother, and a mother.
Yep.
And I'm saying, our minds, we might not admit it. We're going to need help with this emotional fatigue. You know?
The aftermath of this is going to be insane. The aftermath of this, and people don't recognize it, but it's really bad already.
Do you think we're ready for
And
it?
it's only going to get worse. And I see it in the fact that people pay attention when you have these conversations, because I had a conversation with some girl who hit me with a question. I was doing a live stream where I was giving some motivation, some encouragement from the scriptures, and she said to me, Poloko, in 3 months, we had to put up the tent 3 times in our yard. We lost 3 people in 3 months. And now when I hear, she said in the same yard, not a distant relative, she said in the same yard, we had to put up a tent 3 times. And when you hear these things, you realize that people are desperate for some kind of hope.
No.
We're a country that I love how we can make a joke about everything. But I always say, the more we joke about it, the more I know that it bothers us. The more we joke about it, the more you tell us that you don't care, the more we know you care. The more we complain about all these kinds of things that are happening in our lives, and we joke about it, and we say this about it, and we make a joke about Njolo, the pandemic, the more we know you care, the more we know that you are scared you're going to die alone. And you know, but we know.
Are we being delusional?
I think to some level.
Is that us trying to live in suspense of pain?
I think so. It's a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism, and not a very good one, because it doesn't heal. It just helps you cope for the moment.
It's the same thing as shooting a bottle of whiskey because you're running away from a responsibility.
Exactly.
All you can do is suspend the pain. You're not dealing with it.
Exactly. No, it's very difficult.
I mean, not that I've never had the best ideas after drinking a bottle of wine. God forbid.
Yes.
You know, I'm just saying,
Yes,
ladies and gentlemen. The solution is not in the bottle, but a fraction of it is there. just so we're right. You get a different perspective after that. Yeah,
Yes.
Nice quality wine. But I think we tried our best to escape the reality of the situation.
Yep. No, we try our best. And then we realize that it doesn't work, because what happens then is that we have another situation, and the same thing happens. You look at things like gender-based violence. You look at things like the COVID pandemic, and you look at unemployment. You look at what's happening in terms of corruption and all these things. Every time an issue comes up, we have the same conversations we had back then, because the last time we had this conversation, it wasn't helpful. We didn't come up with a solution. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Otherwise, we wouldn't. We would have been on another level of dealing with this. But we never really get to another level of dealing with something. We just always do it to get our Twitter followers up, so we can hop on a hashtag and make sure that it's fun for the moment. We get a vibe going for the moment, to make sure that our feeds are alive and we are relevant. But we never really have conversations that changed the world.
One of my boys, a guitar player from Bishop Hezekiah Walker. Bishop Hezekiah Walker just hit me up. He's listening to this conversation, and he said, "You guys are blessing me. It's 8 o'clock in the morning."
Wow.
And I'm grateful.
Wow.
That 2 young boys in Joburg just touched somebody in Brooklyn.
Wow.
And that's ministry.
It's powerful.
Hey?
It's powerful.
Keep going. You don't
It's
understand.
really powerful.
You don't understand. I marvel at the thought of how God uses people from most ordinary places to touch lives in extraordinary places.
Yes, sir. And I will tell you this: the purpose of me writing a book called "How Can I Make a Difference?"
Yeah.
And if you see, the subtitle is the question that answers, because I really believe if you want to make a difference, you have to ask, "How can I make a difference?" You don't just put Touch HD in the middle of nowhere, even though you don't know, do people actually need this?
Right.
Is this going to make an impact? So we start by asking that question. But I wrote this book because I have so many conversations with people who look at me and they say stuff like, Poloko, we need more young men like you. I say, you need to be a young man like me as well, right? Because there are people in this world who are in corporate, who are in entertainment, who are in all parts of the world, who look at Touch and they say, we need more people like Touch. No, it's like, no, you be Touch in your firm. Right?
Yeah.
At that law firm, in corporate, in your office, in whatever space you find yourself in, at that school. You be that person. Take up your mantle.
My attorney, back in the days, I remember during my days, I had a blue TT Touch GP. Lord, you wouldn't stop me. Do rag every day. No one even could. I mean, I was what you call an outcast.
Yeah.
I used to go to his building every time before I go do my radio show. I'll stop by, and I'm talking 2008. I'll stop by. Even if he's not there, there was this lady who used to make tea. And the way we make those corridor conversation, she didn't know. I took a lot of my content from her.
Yep.
So before I go in there, I'm like, I need some fresh stuff. So I'm gonna go. I won't even call him, so that if he says I'm not at the office, now I cannot go. So I'll just go unannounced. But then I used to ask, hey, Rosina, hey man, she just goes. She's always ready for you. She's ready for you. Yo, husband that he was. And I'll take we make conversation. And then while she's talking, right, she's making you tea. And you're like, oh, no, man, no. And then you drink, and she gets offended if you don't take the tea. By the time I leave there, I didn't even see my lawyer. When I get on air, people are like, yo, this guy's so researched.
Yeah.
But they don't understand. I was connecting with another Tbo Touch who makes tea. That attracts Tbo Touch to want to see her before I go and do my greatness. My greatness will be less compromised, will be more compromised if I didn't make contact with her.
Sir.
She was such a fuel in my life. She didn't know I draw so much inspiration from her.
Yes, sir.
And what you're saying, if people are operating in their first calling, putting their A game in their first calling, it doesn't matter what the calling is.
It doesn't matter.
You shine more than the person who's on stage.
It doesn't matter. In the mind underground, you see, this is what I always say. I mentioned I was Deborah in the beginning and what she did in my life.
Yeah.
She didn't know. Right now, I'm on a daily basis. I have content that reaches thousands of people. She didn't know that's what she was doing.
Wow.
She didn't know that. Right now, me being here is the fruits of the seeds that she planted.
Hallelujah.
Back then. This is her work.
So let me throw a question there.
Yes, sir.
What do we then do to help ignite the other Polokos out there? Because I really think what you said was profound, to keep the door open for others to walk through that greatness. But now we have a bigger responsibility apart from writing books and speaking. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do to ignite and just give that people that switch to say, wake up? How do we activate that switch?
I think we take up our responsibility, and there's a very desperate need to remind people that they're not victims. I think right now in 2021, more than any other time that I have seen in my few short years of being here, people are victims. People, oh my goodness, hey, there was a 500 billion somewhere that, no, just go on. Okay, what happens after we find the 500 billion? So I think there's a desperate need for people to take up their responsibilities. There's a desperate need for people to hear a message of accountability, to say you are responsible for what happens in your home, right? And what I don't like about motivational speaking is that there are so many motivational speakers who try to convince people that you are perfect as you are. No, you're not, right? You know, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this. Otherwise we wouldn't be having these conversations. Otherwise there would be no point in you trying to grow. So there's a need for a conversation that says, listen, your life right now is not what it should be. The world right now is not what it could be. And so right now, what is your responsibility? We have to put responsibility on people, regardless of where you come from, regardless of your background, your disadvantages, what you didn't have growing up. You have a responsibility. You got to take up a responsibility and run with it, regardless of what the government did to you, what you didn't get, where your parents were. That's irrelevant right now. And you can use that in your story, but you have to understand it doesn't stop you.
Let's wrap it up. If you had a message for President Cyril Ramaphosa, what will it be?
Wow, that's a deep question.
And he's listening, and you saying, okay, he's giving you his ear to hear you out. It might not be a message, could be an advice.
What I would say would be that, sir, people are scared. People are scared. There has to be something that happens to reassure the people that we're going to be okay. I think one of the first things, what I love about flying, is that in a flight, one of the main things that you might notice in a flight is the reassurance that you are going to be okay. Because there's all kinds of safety procedures. There's all kinds of guidances. In case of this, make sure you do this. It comes across as though we have figured this out. Right? When you are in a flight, you get the feeling that the pilot has figured this out, that everybody, the air hostesses, everybody knows what they are doing. So, sir, please just do your best to convince us.
Right.
Do your best to prove to us that everything is okay. We really don't need to panic, because people are panicking right now, and it's not good. When people panic, there's all kinds of stampedes that happen, and people can get hurt. If you had to say right now, if there was no order in this room and I said, I just caused a panic,
right,
people would run out of here and somebody would get hurt on the way out. But if you came in here and you said to me, guys, there's nothing to worry about, I just need you to walk out, and we're going to get outside safely, but I need one at a time. And just give us some order. Give us some kind of reassurance to know that we are going to be okay. That we're going to be okay. It doesn't have to look good. We just want to know that we're going to be okay. That's it.
I think great leaders are great listeners, and we should not be wary of sending the right message to our leaders. And you, as a leader, I pride myself to have had this conversation with you. I think this conversation was like the genesis of a great journey. It's greater work that has to happen. We got so much to do. So
I'm looking forward
let's get
to
our
it.
marching orders right and go out there. How do we get the copy?
The copy is on my website. My website is www.polokommakgolane.com. That's very hard to pronounce, so you might not be able to spell. But I had to do it because I said I'm going to teach the world how to spell this name. That's deep, but we'll get to it. I said I'm going to teach the world how to spell. Anyway, POLOKOMMAKGOLANE.
Do you know how difficult it is to spell Louis Vuitton? But it's become so synonymous. It's become so easy.
We know how to.
We know how to.
We know how to.
We had to get up to it, right?
We know how to.
Hello.
Come on. We had to learn.
So give it to them one more time. Poloko?
www.polokommakgolane.com. POLOKOMMAKGOLANE.com.
Next time when I see you, you'll be telling me that you have a distribution deal for the book. I'm not even worried about that. I know that's on the line. I don't even doubt that. What an honor to be hanging with you, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for a great conversation.
An incredible privilege, sir. Thank you so much for having me on here. And if I can say this, I'm going to take 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
I always remember that when I grew up in a village, and as a village boy, my dream was to be a taxi driver because those were the most respected men in the village. These were the men who were making things happen. They had the ability to take you from one place to another.
Yes, sir.
So I had the dream of being a taxi driver as a kid, if they would ask me.
Wow.
It was only until I was exposed to more and found out what is happening out there and heard about the the Tbo Touches of the world that I said, okay, no, maybe being a taxi driver is not the only thing there is. Maybe I can be more and I can do more. I'm not saying anything about taxi drivers. What I'm saying is, when I was exposed to more, I realized that there is more to the world. And so, sir, I respect you. Thank you so much for having me on here. From a young guy, 25 years old. I just turned 25 the other day. Still receiving gifts, by the way.
Happy belated.
Thank you so much. From one young guy who grew up hearing your voice, being familiar with your voice, it is an absolute honor. I told the boys yesterday, and they said, hey, man, give me a shout out when you get there. Tell Tbo about me.
Come on.
And
yo, tell your boys you about to go on a tour, dog. Tell them we about to get on tour.
We're about to work. So thank you so much. I respect you, and it's an incredible thing to me that a leader like yourself can be comfortable enough. It takes security in yourself as a leader. You've got to be secure in yourself as a leader. You've got to be comfortable in yourself as a leader to share spaces with individuals like myself. There are people who don't. I don't say this to brag. Again,
I know what you're saying.
People are scared of me.
Woo!
There are individuals who are scared, so they will not let me in.
Let me share a joke with you. And
Yes.
I mean, it's no longer going to be a joke because it's going to now get all over the world. Beginning of this year, I received a call from a very popular radio station. And they said, man, listen, can we work together? We need you on air. We need you back on air. And da-da-da. And it was February. I remember it was around Valentine. They're like, you know, we're studying our plans for the year. We'd like to have you. And I said, I did what I did, pushing the content I was pushing for 14 years straight. If I felt there's a void or something that there's a deficit, you know, when you look back into an exam and you say, how did I get 97? That 3% hurts you more than the 97 that you should be celebrating. That 3% is painful.
Yeah.
I can accept 80%. It's okay to deal with, I got 80%. When you get 97, it means there was some recklessness.
Yeah.
It's not about you didn't know what to do. Yeah. You were reckless. Okay? That 3%, I look back and said, in my journey, and this is me, I said, if there's ever something I feel as touch I left behind and I needed to settle, I'll go back and do it. But I said, and I don't mean to be arrogant, I don't hear anyone sounding close or doing things that I did. I'm scared going back. I might not be the great me. I'm like, I felt that Jordan moment. Should I go back to the Bulls and maybe erase the legacy of that great last shot that he took? Sometimes going back can work against your legacy. And the point was, there is no song, there's no celebrity, I feel, by interviewing them or by playing their song, is going to complete anything that I've done. I said I did it all. Like Frank Sinatra, I think I did it my way. Drake, a.k.a. John Legend, I interviewed all of them. Floyd, all of them.
Wow.
The best that you can. You just won a Grammy. Miguel, after he won a Grammy on a Sunday night, he was on Metro at that time, literally coming off the Grammy, the brand new artist. Brought him into South Africa. I said, I'm scared going back. I might not do.
You did it.
The numbers that I said, I'll leave it there. But more than anything else, any content that's going to come out of my brand, any content I want to push, if it's not identifying a better touch, I don't want to do it.
Wow.
So this team that you see here, they'll tell you, I'm obsessed with one question. What's the DNA of our content? I don't want to play another Make Meal song, man.
You've done it all.
It's not going to change the currency of your price of bread. But this conversation has moved somebody to be a better person. And maybe this is what I'm called to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we are grateful for that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
We are grateful for that. I say to people that when you respond to that, there are lives that get changed. That's why you can't take it for granted.
I'm telling you, my brother, the gospel is not for the masses. It's that one soul that you can change to impact change in their space. That's enough.
Yes, sir.
This is where that 14 years was preparing me to be.
Yep.
I would have never met you if I didn't make that call.
Yes,
So
sir.
I think we have greater work to do because
I'm
before we
excited.
met, there's a lot of preparation. That's 14 years of preparation to bring this moment to fruition.
I'm excited.
Yeah?
I'm so excited. The best is yet to come.
So you guys never got to know. You're hearing that for the first time. Why I love what I'm doing. Thank you. Thank you, Poloko. It's such an honor.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much. What an honor.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, that's In Touch with Tbo Touch. We're back again. Log on touchhd.co.za. And if you want to watch, listen, download, we got a brand new site that's launching on the 25th. I'm excited. And there's going to be more of this content. There's going to be more of this upliftment. And we need it. There is no better time to say, what a time to be alive.
Tbo Touch. Touch HD.